a problem, Donald, that Russia said they wanted to fight ISIS, and so they're helping Bashar al-Assad fight ISIS, but it turns out they may be dropping bombs on the Free Syrian Army?
We are told by the mainstream media that the Syrian insurgents are fighting for human rights and democracy in Syria. We are told that once they take over, New Syria is going to be a vast improvement. However, the footage I'm about to show you, which was shot only this week alone, shows the Free Syrian Army torturing and executing prisoners.
And by the way, I can absolutely confirm to you that they were strikes against our Free Syrian Army or groups that have been armed and trained by the CIA, because we have communications with people there. And so now we're going to have a meeting of the military or some kind of communications. That seems to be the administration's first priority. And so we can stand by and watch them strike those groups that are fighting against Bashar Assad that we are training and funding. This is an Orwellian experience.
So you're...
I am concerned about this report about Syrian rebels and the ceasefire with ISIS. Senator
But
Paul,
that's not true.
Well,
it's not true.
It's
you want
not
me to read
true.
From whether I don't care about the report. I know these people intimately. We talk to them all the time. I don't care about the report. I know these people intimately. We talk to them all the time.
But I would like to clarify something. We're not trying to scare kids. This president's foreign policy is what's scaring the kids of this country. And that people have said today, why are people believing this? Why are people believing this big internet hoax? Well, it's the same people that told us Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11. Same people that told us Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Same people that told us we were going to be able to use the oil for reconstruction money. Same people that told us that we'd be greeted as liberators, not occupiers. Same people, same president that told us the Taliban is gone. Same president that told us that Poland is our ally 2 days before they pull out. Same president that tells us Iraq is going just great. Same president that tells us the economy is going just great. Same people that told us the tax cut was going to create millions of jobs. Same people that told us that the Medicare program only cost $400 billion when it really cost $540 billion. So please forgive us for not believing what you're saying. Please forgive the students of this country for not believing what you're saying. Not one thing about this war that has been told to the American people or that has been told to these college students has been true. Not one thing. Bremer says we need more troops. The Pentagon says we need more troops. And this president can't get them from the international community. There's only one option left. Let's be honest with the American people. I yield back the balance of my time.
Hillary Clinton has described already the meeting in the White House over 2 years ago. Everyone in the national security team recommended arming ISIS.
If you don't care about these people, that's fine with me, ma'am.
That's pretty insulting.
Certainly is.
Where do you come off this?
Hi, Mr. McCain. I mean this with all due respect, sir, as an elected official for our country. We, the people, elected you to be representative of the people and against this and for this great nation. But for far too long now, and the rest of Congress, including the executive branch of government, along with the judicial and legislative, have turned your back on the American people and their core values and principles. I can say with great confidence and speak on behalf of all Americans that your actions against this country are treasonous. All of you, against the will of the American people, have aided and abetted the enemy. You and the rest of Congress, including the President of the United States, have went against the will of your people in Syria, regardless of your position and vote, whether it is a yes or no, is still a political smokescreen, I believe. Wholeheartedly, you do not care about the will and well-being of America or its people. You lied to the American people about the chemical attacks in Syria. The American people know that it was our government that is most likely responsible. There is strong evidence, including video, that these attacks were carried out by Al-Qaeda and you advocate starting a war, even maybe world war, by taking the same attack and blaming it on Assad. President Barack Hussein Obama has been supporting terrorism. The United States has been funding and aiding organizations, including the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda, for many years now. The same enemy we're supposed to be defeating on the battlefield. At least one country in this world stood up against this government terrorism that you guys support in Egypt. The people of Egypt throughout Mohammed Morsi, which Obama supported as well, as countless Christians have lost their lives under evil people such as this. You swore an oath to protect us and protect from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. The simple irony is the domestic enemy now in this country is the people and government of the United States. And McCain and you and the rest of our leaders are accountable for their actions. It's too bad someone like me is not in office to hold you accountable, because if I was in a position of power or authority, I would have you all arrested and tried for treason against my country under the grounds of 18 U.S.C. 2381 treason U.S. Code. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason. That is the code. The American people are sick of it. This country rose up against you recently. The ratio, hang on, I have a right of free speech. I can finish. The American people opposed to going to war with Syria, which includes many Marines and other veterans by the thousands, was 499-1. That is 99% of the people of this country. So if you and the rest of this government are truly for the American people and representatives of us, I suggest this time you listen, because nobody wants another war or strike in Syria or anywhere else. Bring our brothers and sisters home. I am truly disgusted that you people are my leaders.
The largest group, al-Nusra. Al-Nusra fighters are radical, anti-American jihadists, and they're affiliated with Al-Qaeda. But your politicians in Washington are eager to send weapons. They promise, oh, these weapons won't get into the hands of the enemy. I don't believe it. Does anyone believe that? How can we ask our brave young men and women to fight against Al-Qaeda in some countries and with Al-Qaeda in other countries?
Was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
هذا الخنزير من دير بعلبة هذا الخنزير ما في شيء
Ahmed Davutoglu as Prime Minister, and as the frontline city of Kobani, just inside the Syrian border, comes under increasing threat from ISIS, I sat down with the Prime Minister for his first interview with the international press. He tells me Turkey is willing to join the US-led military fight against ISIS, but will bargain hard to establish a no-fly zone and safe areas inside the Syrian border.
$300,000 people were massacred by all means, including chemical weapons. And we said chemical weapon is the red line. He used chemical weapons. What happened to him?
You mean
Nothing.
Assad?
Assad. And he used barrel bombs, Scud missiles to urban areas. We didn't do anything. He killed people by punishing through hunger. He surrounded cities, neighborhoods, and kept them hungry. And we have seen, you showed in your program, 50,000 photographs who were killed by these methods by Syrian regime, and everybody was silent.
Well, I think if people have oil under their ground, they're called wacky.
And now, because of these crimes, there was no reaction. There is radical organization, ISIS misused this atmosphere and told these people, international community doesn't defend you. Nobody defends you. Only I can defend you by my own means. This was the source of ISIS.
Today, we shall present only part of the evidence which show that in the region there is one team of bandits and Turkish elites to steal oil from their neighbors. This oil in enormous quantities in industrial scopes through pipelines and 1,000 trucks goes to territory of Turkey. We are assured, and today we shall present direct evidence that the final point of destination of the stolen oil is Turkey.
Okay, so the United States says it's not going after the Syrian regime. So what do you plan to say to the United States? I've heard about your desire for maybe a no-fly zone, for safe havens.
When chemical weapons were used in Syria, we requested officially from all of our allies to have a much more firm policy against Syrian regime, because these sectarian policies created a vacuum which was used by ISIS. Therefore, today, punishing ISIS in Kobani, but ignoring the next step, may create much bigger problems in the future. We have to be very careful what we expect. Why do we want to have no-fly zone? Because enough is enough.
To win over ISIS, we have to make strong blows on the source of its financing, as was said more than once by the President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. Terrorism without money is an animal without teeth. Revenues from selling oil are one of the most important sources of the terrorist activity in Syria. They win over $2 billion annually and spend these funds to recruit fighters all over the world, providing them with equipment, weaponry, and that is why ISIS protects the source of criminal oil production in Syria and Iraq. The chief consumer of this stolen oil is Turkey.
There is a need of stopping airstrikes or heavy bombardment. This is so important for Turkey.
Not far from the despite military actions in Aleppo, there is a strong movement of transportation in both directions, and in the Turkish territory we see lots of trucks. This video shows how these trucks cross the border without any hindrance. These are bandits and terrorist groups, Jurhat al-Nusra, which allows large trucks with oil to cross the border. This transport is not checked on the Turkish side, and we see hundreds of such trucks.
شو وضعكم؟ وين داخل انت هسه؟ والله كان سنجار هسه. طاب على سنجار؟ ان شاء الله. اخبار الوضع شلونه؟ والله حزين. الحمد لله، معنوياتكم؟ جيدة جدا. الحمد لله، جزاك الله خير. وجودكم انتم جيد جدا الحمد لله. جزاك الله خير، فضل الله سبحانه وتعالى.
And what goes back and forth? Why are you so upset about the notion that fighters have gone into Syria from Turkey? Why are you upset about that?
This is really a very unfair accusation.
Are you... saying no fighters, no support have gone to the moderates or anything? Nothing?
What we expect, Christiane, are two things: fairness and empathy.
Yes.
First, empathy.